Hi, I'm Juan Loaiza, and today I'm going to introduce Oracle Exadata X8, the foundation for mission-critical database, both on-premise, in the cloud, and for autonomous database. Now, the vision of Exadata is very simple. It's to provide a dramatically better platform for all kinds of database workloads. And there's three parts to Exadata. One is the hardware. The database team designed the ideal hardware for a database, and that includes a scale-out, database-optimized compute, networking, and storage for fastest performance and lowest cost. The most important part of Exadata is the software, the smart system software, where we've implemented dozens of specialized algorithms that vastly improve every aspect of database for OLTP, analytics, and consolidation. And then the third important part is automated management. So we've automated all parts of Exadata and automates things like updates, configuration, and ultimately, we're also delivering a fully autonomous database using Exadata. And Exadata is identical whether you run it on-premises, in the cloud, or as an autonomous database. Okay, so Exadata has now been in the market for 10 years. It was shipped in 2008. And it's very popular in the market. We now have 4 out of the 5 top banks, telecoms, and retailers running Exadata. It's extremely successful, and it's successful across all the different workloads. So we run petabyte data warehouses, super critical applications, things like online financial trading, e-commerce, also hugely complex applications like SAP, Oracle, eBusiness Suite, Siebel, PeopleSoft. And also lately, there's massive database consolidations being implemented on Exadata. So incredibly successful across all kinds of workloads. Today, over 3/4 of the Fortune Global 100 run Exadata. And already over 1/4 of the Fortune Global 100 companies have adopted Exadata Cloud. And Exadata Cloud with Exadata is growing at a rate of over 150% a year. So it's been tremendously successful. So first, I'm going to talk about the Exadata X8 hardware, and then we'll get into software and some other things. The X8 hardware continues our tradition of bringing all the latest state-of-the-art components into Exadata every year. So I'll briefly talk about what we changed in Exadata X8. So remember, in Exadata is everything a customer needs to run a database. So this includes servers, network, and storage. So on the servers, we use either 2-socket or 8-socket database servers. And of course, this year we've adopted the very latest processors. They're about 15% faster based on Cascade Lake Intel processors. And these processors include the latest security fixes so that we don't have any more software overhead. We run in Exadata, within the Exadata, an ultra-fast InfiniBand internal fabric. And then out to the data center, we use standard Ethernet. And from a hardware perspective, the most interesting part of Exadata is the scale-out intelligent storage. So in Exadata, we use servers for storage. We use 2-socket servers. This year, we've adopted the latest Cascade Lake CPUs, but we've also increased the processing power by over 60%, which makes Exadata offload even more effective. And then we've updated to the latest higher capacity disk drive, so 40% higher capacity in Exadata X8 versus X7. Now, there is one larger change in Exadata X8. We're introducing a new type of storage server. So traditionally, we've had a high capacity storage server and an all-flash storage server we call Extreme Flash. Now we're introducing a new type called the Exadata Extended, or XT storage server. And the idea of this is to provide a much lower cost for Exadata storage for infrequently accessed older or regulatory data. So it's like an Exadata storage server, much lower cost for lower performance needs. So for the cost of a Hadoop or object storage, you get something that integrates seamlessly into the database and into the Exadata. So it's very efficient, very high capacity, uses our hybrid columnar compression. It's very simple because you just drop it into an Exadata. It's completely transparent to applications, transparent to the operational model, the security model, the encryption. All you got to do is drop these servers into the Exadata rack, and we'll use them for extended storage. Also, the extended storage server doesn't require Exadata system software. So that's optional. You can use it if you want to do smart scan, but you don't have to if you want to lower costs even more. So that's the new server that's introduced with Exadata X8. Okay, Now, Exadata X8, of course, because it's taken the latest hardware components and more advanced software, we're able to achieve even better performance than we've ever achieved. So in Exadata X8, a single rack can achieve 560 gigabytes of I/O throughput. That's 60% more in the all-flash config than we did a year ago with Exadata X7. And we run over 6.5 million OLTP I/Os per second. That's 25% more per storage server than before. And it's not just the total number, we can also run them at very low latency. So we can run over 3.5 million I/Os per second while keeping latency below 250 microseconds. So extraordinarily high IOPS and low latency. And of course, this is much faster than other competing products, and it scales linearly as we add more racks. Now, as a quick comparison, an Exadata X8 outperforms an all-flash EMC PowerMax across all the different metrics. So the Exadata provides 7.4 times more throughput, over 2 times faster I/O latency, and achieves over 1.5 million more IOPS. And of course, the Exadata scales beyond the single rack. So now that I've talked about hardware, what's new in hardware, let me talk about what we're doing on the software side, which is actually the real secret sauce in an Exadata that drives performance, availability, and cost. So I'm going to talk about first what we do in software for analytics, then OLTP, then consolidation. So starting with analytics, there's a number of features that we've developed over a lot of years to greatly speed up analytics. The foundational feature of Exadata for analytics is the ability to offload data-intensive SQL so it runs directly in storage, bypassing any bottleneck. And this is called Smart Scan technology, and with it, we're able to achieve hundreds of gigabytes per second of throughput. Also, we have unique algorithms that we offload for data mining, decryption, aggregation, backups, dozens of algorithms that we've added over the years. In addition to offloading I/O, we can actually greatly reduce the total amount of I/O. So we have something called database-aware flash caching that caches I/Os in flash, so that the large majority of I/Os go straight to PCI flash. And also we have something called storage indexes, which can eliminate I/O for data that's not relevant to a particular query. And often this can eliminate 90 or 95% of all the I/O. Lately, we've also focused a lot on columnar formats. So initially in Exadata many years ago, we introduced something called hybrid columnar compression. And the goal of that was to greatly reduce the space needed to store data. And as you reduce the space, it can also speed up the analytics by an order of magnitude. Now we've gone much further than that in developing columnar technology. So because of the high performance I/O of Exadata, the bottlenecks have shifted from what used to be I/O bound to now it's mostly CPU bound. So we need to bring in new algorithms to break through this new bottleneck. So what we've done is we've brought our in-memory database technology into Exadata storage. So we use the exact same formats that we use in the database servers to speed up analytics with an in-memory format that can be used with fast vector processing operations in the chips. So that greatly reduces the amount of CPU needed to scan data and greatly accelerates analytics. And recently, we've actually expanded that so that those in-memory columnar formats work even for OLTP databases and for hybrid columnar compressed databases. And shortly, we're going to release a new version of Exadata that will adopt the Intel Optane DC persistent memory to provide even more columnar storage and more speed up for analytics in Exadata. Okay, so now I've talked about analytics. Let me talk some about OLTP. So again, there's a lot of algorithms that we've introduced to optimize OLTP in Exadata. First of all, Exadata completely eliminates the traditional bottleneck to OLTP, which is I/Os per second, limitations on I/O per second. And it does this because Exadata has completely scale-out storage, so it scales linearly. We use ultra-fast NVMe flash, and we have our ultra-fast InfiniBand network. So this allows us to deliver millions and millions of I/Os per second in an Exadata. Another unique thing in Exadata is we have special algorithms to speed up database logging and commits. So we can greatly reduce the latency of those, making transactions run much faster. In addition to speeding up I/Os, we also have done a lot of work to eliminate any kind of stalls from failed or sick components. So for example, we can detect when a server is failing much faster than in a normal configuration to avoid any kind of long timeout when we're evicting the server from the configuration. Another important thing is that we're able to redirect IOs around any kind of component that is sick or failing. Now, most recently, we've focused on eliminating the inter-node communication that's required to coordinate across the nodes of a cluster. So we're working on speeding up and eliminating any kind of bottlenecks in the cluster communication. So first of all, we've added a special protocol where the database can talk directly to the networking hardware, bypassing all the protocol stacks, which gives about 3 times faster inter-node OLTP messaging. A second big improvement is something we call Smart Fusion Block Transfer, where we eliminate the log write that's normally necessary to transfer data between nodes. And then a third thing, our most recent enhancement, is we've added a special RDMA protocol, Remote Direct Memory Access, for coordinating transactions between nodes. So when one node wants to know the status of a transaction in another node, that node can directly read the memory of that other node to find out the status without doing any software at all. And that greatly speeds up this coordination. Okay, so what's coming and what's new in OLTP? We're going to be introducing something called persistent memory in the Exadata storage servers. So the idea here is that we can use that memory both as a tier in front of disk and flash so that we can access data faster, but actually more importantly, because it's memory, we're able to access it remotely using the same RDMA protocol, Remote Direct Memory Access. And it's that protocol that really provides the bulk of the speed up because, it bypasses the whole software stack. So from the database servers, we can reach into the storage server through hardware, directly access that persistent memory and get the result. And that gives a much faster latency, up to 20 times faster latency for remote I/O operations. And of course, in Exadata, we mirror the persistent memory across multiple storage servers so that any kind of failure doesn't affect it. And we use it as a shared cache, meaning that we move data that originally starts on disk into flash as it becomes hot, and as it becomes really hot, we move it into persistent memory. So we dynamically adjust what data is in the persistent memory, so only the hottest data is there. And that essentially gives us terabytes worth of persistent memory, the equivalent capacity, so we can run multi-terabyte databases with the performance of persistent memory. Okay, so now I've talked about analytics and OLTP, so let me talk a little bit about consolidation. Because I mentioned a big trend now is for customers to create massive database farms on Exadata where they consolidate all their databases in an Exadata configuration. So we've done a lot of work on handling mixed workloads and consolidation in Exadata. A few examples here, we automatically prioritize latency-sensitive operations. So because we own the whole database and storage, we know what's latency-sensitive and what isn't. So when we have a latency-sensitive operation, we can automatically prioritize that all the way from the database through the network and all the way to storage. So that's a very big difference. There's nothing you have to do. That just happens. We can also prioritize, for example, OLTP operations over things like analytics or batch. We can automatically prioritize important workloads based on user policies. So you can say, this is more important than that. And we'll prioritize that all the way through CPU I/O. We can do that by job, by user, by service, by pluggable database, by session, by individual SQL statements. Also, we've done a lot of work on providing isolation across multiple databases or tenants in a single system. So this is what we're using in our public cloud to greatly isolate different users so that the performance of one user doesn't affect the performance of another user. Okay, so now that's a quick view through the consolidation. We've also introduced new versions of our Exadata system software. So we call it 19.1 and 19.2 versions of our Exadata system software. And in that software, we provided at least 20 unique features and enhancements since last year. So there's features in there that improve analytics, transaction processing, consolidation, security. We've improved upgrades both at the database level and at the firmware level. And also, we've added support for our latest generation of our database software called Database 19c. And of course, all these software features are available not just in our latest Exadata X8, but also in previous generations of Exadata. Included in our system software 19 is update to Oracle Linux 7.6 and the latest generation of Oracle VM, which are both faster and more secure. And we've added a couple of special features. One is something we call advanced intrusion detection. So what we do here is we're constantly monitoring our system software. And if there's a virus or something that tries to change that software, we detect those changes and automatically alert when we see any kind of change to our software. So that's one thing. Another big thing that we've added is monitoring across the whole stack, including CPU, network, and memory, using new machine learning algorithms to try to detect when things are going wrong. So now we can look through the entire stack and detect things like stuck processes, memory leaks, flaky networks, et cetera, and we'll either fix them or alert on them. So this is a brand new, much more effective alerting mechanism. So now that we've talked about the software in Exadata, let me talk about the next big thing, which is cloud. How we're using Exadata in cloud to deliver game-changing mission-critical databases. So first of all, we have in Exadata, in our public cloud, something called the Exadata Cloud Service. And quite simply, this is an Exadata running in our public cloud that you as a customer can just sign up and use. So the idea here is we run the full Oracle database with all the advanced options, or you can bring your own licenses, and it's 100% compatible with the databases that you have running today on premises. Exadata, of course, is our fastest, most available database cloud platform with the best quality of service in the cloud. And the advantages in the cloud is that you get a fast, elastic, and web-driven provisioning. So you can go to the cloud, you can click, and you can get an Exadata very quickly. We also handle a lot of automation, things like updates, backup, data guard, et cetera. And we, Oracle Cloud experts, manage and deploy all the infrastructure for Exadata. And because it's a cloud-based product, it also uses a cloud-based subscription model. So you don't pay upfront for it, you pay on a monthly basis. In Exadata in the cloud, we have excellent elasticity. So we can burst the compute online, and you only pay for what you actually use. So this has now been in production since 2016. So in addition to a public cloud service, you can also run the Exadata Cloud model inside your own data center. And that's called Exadata Cloud at Customer. So for customers that can't move their workloads to the cloud, we essentially bring the cloud into their data centers. So the idea is it's very simple. It's the exact same cloud hardware, software, interfaces, APIs, and control plane that we run in our public cloud, but they run inside the customer data center. And also, it's the same pay-per-use subscription model that we use in our public cloud that brings pricing based on enabled cores also into the customer data center. So that's Exadata Cloud at Customer. So we can bring Exadata to any kind of model you want. You can buy a traditional Exadata and run it yourself in your data center. You can get Exadata in the Cloud at Customer model, which is subscription-based, but it's in your data center, and we run all the infrastructure. Or you can get a full public cloud Exadata where it's all operated by Oracle, and again, you pay by subscription, you don't need a data center at all. So it's customer's choice. Now, of course, when we talk about cloud, the next really big thing is autonomous database in cloud. So that's where we're extending automatic management all the way through the database level. So in the traditional model of deploying a database, the user deployed everything, built and deployed everything. So the user built the databases, the infrastructure, the network, and had to manage, tune, repair everything. Now with autonomous database, the full database lifecycle is completely automated, even for highly mission-critical databases and even for highly sensitive data. So now you can just basically get a SQL prompt and do your SQL, and you don't have to worry about anything in the back end. You don't have to worry about managing any kind of infrastructure or the database itself. So the big advantages of autonomous database are you get to focus on innovating more. It's actually much lower cost also, and Oracle worries about all the security and availability of your data. And of course, autonomous database in our cloud, it's all built on top of our Exadata technology. So all the benefits and all the software features I've talked about, you get them all in the autonomous database. So I've talked about the technology behind Exadata, the hardware, the software, the cloud model. But overall, Exadata is really powering the future of database at Oracle. So first of all, Exadata is used for all our SaaS applications. So that's ERP, HCM, et cetera. The future of all our applications, we're running tens of thousands of customers today, are all running on Exadata. I mentioned that autonomous database technology, which is really the future of database, all that is running exclusively on Exadata. And we'll be bringing that autonomous database technology to the Exadata cloud customers so customers can have that in their data centers as well. But we haven't forgotten about Exadata on-premise. That remains a major focus at Oracle. And we are adding many exclusive database features that were developed for autonomous database so that customers running Exadata on-premises can use them directly. There are a lot of specialized algorithms that we've developed that only run on Exadata, and here are a few of the new ones. For example, for analytics, we can maintain a standby database even if there are non-log direct loads. We can automate the population of data into the in-memory column store. We can run in-memory technology against external tables. We've talked about a lot of the specialized cache fusion algorithms for OLTP. We've also introduced a specially optimized key-value style access for OLTP and optimized IoT data loading. In the consolidation area, we have a lot of enhancements for pluggable database, multi-tenant database, including refreshable PDB copies, per pluggable database key store, and we can scale up to 4,000 PDBs on Exadata on a single database. And we can also dynamically grow CDB memory with our database 19c. Most recently, we've also introduced the technology we use in autonomous database as a feature you can also run on on-premises Exadata. So for example, the two big features are the ability to gather statistics in real time as DML executes so that statistics never become stale, and the use of machine learning to implement new indexes automatically. So both of these capabilities are available now for use by Exadata on-premises customers. Now, Exadata has been in the market for 10 years, and it's really very different from any other product. It has so many unique capabilities that there really is almost nothing that competes with it. There's no second place. And we continue to enhance Exadata every single year to provide dramatically better performance, cost, availability, and security than any other platform on the market. Thanks for joining us today. For more information on Exadata technology and Exadata X8, I invite you to visit us online.